Hey, what's up, everybody? The VC here, coming at you with another video about anything and everything. Nothing's off the table. We are here on the VC here on YouTube, or we could be on the VC here on, if I can find myself, where am I at here? There we are, on Rumble. Alright, so this is where it's at here. So subscribe or follow me, or both. Gladly appreciate it, and thank you for that. And I love content creation. I could just go on and on about stuff. Alright, so with that, let's just get to it. Alright, so here's something I saw that occurred a couple days ago. And this caught my attention here. That Trump says that he's going to reopen Alcatraz. I like it. Alright, I like it. Let's hear what is being said here. I like it. Let's go over here.
All right, welcome back in here to Live and Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. It is nearly 8 o'clock on the East Coast as we're following the top stories. President Trump touching down back in our nation's capital, also making a big announcement in terms of Alcatraz, reopening that prison. You can look live now here at this as Air Force One on the ground at Joint Base Andrews. We'll soon see him take those steps back to another busy work week as he lands at Joint Base Andrews. We'll see if we have any comments on some of the top stories of the day, but we're just getting more information right now about this. A post on Truth Social from President Trump calling for the reopening of Alcatraz, saying rebuild and open Alcatraz. For far too long, America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders. When we were a more serious nation in past times, we did not hesitate to lock up the most dangerous criminals and keep them far away from anyone they could harm. That's the way it's supposed to be. No longer will we tolerate the serial offenders who spread filth, bloodshed, and mayhem on our streets. That's why today I am directing the Bureau of Prisons, together with the Department of Justice, FBI, Homeland Security, to reopen a substantially enlarged and rebuilt Alcatraz to house America's most ruthless and violent criminals. So that's a big announcement coming on social media today. And of course, lots of people are familiar with that notorious prison, as in a message he said they hope to reopen that former prison on a California island. Of course, notably, the prison was closed back in 1963. Alcatraz Island is currently operated by the National Park Service as a tourist site. The order comes as President Trump has been clashing with the courts as he tries to send accused gang members to the notorious prison in El Salvador without due process. President Trump has also talked about wanting to send American citizens there and also to foreign prisons. And you can just see some of these images there. Not far from the Golden Gate Bridge, Alcatraz sits, and of course the notorious prison, but also notorious for a prison break that may or may not have been successful. A lot of conspiracy theories out there about this, but you can see some of these old footage sitting there in those cold waters just off the Bay Area in San Francisco, Oakland, and beyond. So we'll see what happens with this as President Trump calls for the reopening of Alcatraz there by the Federal Bureau of Prisons. So you can just see some of these waves there off the coast, obviously notable for the fact that it was nearly impossible to escape. So we're just following this here on Live Now.
I don't see why it would be a bad idea.
Latest development with Alcatraz. We're also still waiting for President Trump.
Like, what would far left people going to say now? That it's bad to open prisons, right? Is it bad to open prisons? If anything, it probably just needs a facelift to make sure everything's working. And then, you know, as historical as things are, every prison has a history anyways. You know, who they house and all that stuff. So, yeah, it's historical, but at the same time, if it's a functional prison, I don't see why not. Why not send the worst of the worst to this federal prison? We do have federal prisons across the U.S., but if you're trying to send a message, you're sending the worst of the worst to the island. Hey, nothing wrong with that. I'm with that. I like it. I think it's a good idea to reopen it. Why not? If anything, you don't have to break new ground on anything. All you're doing is reestablishing grounds that's owned by the federal government anyways. So to me, it's a win-win. All right. You know, it's something that should send a message to people that, hey, you know what? If you are one of the worst, we'll send you there, to the Rock, right? Remember that movie? There's a movie about how Alcatraz was going to be open in modern times called The Rock. There was a movie. It was an older movie, but still, like in the 90s, whatever. But still, I mean, just saying it. It's not impossible. I think it's a great idea, though. I really like the idea of it, and should be done. That way, if you want to get sent to the Rock, that's on you. All right.
To get off the plane there at Joint Base Andrews. One more time, a live look here on Live Now from Fox. You can see the doors open, the stairs.
All right, so that's there. Let's see here. Yes, Trump needs to start opening mental asylums too. I agree. Restore justice to the country. This just keeps getting better and better. I work in corrections. When inmates complain about accommodations, I point out the single star on the uniform and ask, well, what do you expect from a one-star hotel? They should get it ready for the Epstein list. It should have never been closed. Yeah, 100% open it back up. They only closed it because of money, right? The worst part of Alcatraz is if you escape, you're in San Francisco. Yeah, I mean, you can look at it two ways, right? You're in San Francisco. It's a woke city anyways, so you'll be roaming about freely. And two, you're in San Francisco. I mean, it's not like there's much going on there anyways. So you look at it like that too. But yeah, why build another prison? Just rebuild and open out. Exactly. That's just what I just said, right? If you don't want to get sent to the Rock, here it is, and don't go to the Rock. All right, don't get sent there. Housing the worst of the worst. I like it. I don't know if U.S. laws would allow the worst of the worst to be there to be handled like how El Salvador is, because, we've got a lot of soft, woke people, talking about crime for the criminals and stuff to be free. But I do like the idea of it, though. So I hope it gains traction and there's fruit to this. It should happen. I think it would send a good message to, the future offenders. Hey, the worst of the worst, you go here. I think the worst of the worst when it comes to prisoners that are in federal custody, they're sent to a couple places. There's I think one on the East Coast, and I believe there's one here in California that they have a federal prison that they send here. I don't know if they're the worst of the worst, but for especially ones that are like in protective custody, they're sent there and all that. And so, yeah, it looks like people are actually for the idea. And going back to mental asylums, here's my idea on mental asylums, all right? And I've been saying it to a lot of people all the time. My idea has always been, you got how many prisons closed in California? All right, let me go look that up. All right, I'm gonna Google this right now. How many prisons closed in California? I wonder if there's an actual number. So you have all these activists calling to close prisons and all that in California. Let's see. Damn, they don't tell you how many have closed. What are prisons? Just want to know how many prisons have closed. That's all I want to know. they're just talking about empty beds here, but let's see how many prisons are in California today. There's 34. I wonder how many are closed. I'm trying to. I'll get to the point here in a moment, but let's see here. See, they don't. I can't believe they don't list how many have closed. You know, they just talked about the recent ones that closed, but I want to know all of it. All right, but my whole point of it is that they've actually closed a lot of prisons down in California. All right, and I think with those closed prisons, they're still there. It's not like they just went in and tore it down right away. They're still there. All right, and being that it's still there, what you can do with the existing infrastructure in place is use that as mental facilities. Right? Use that as facilities for mental health and drug addiction houses for these people that you could get off the street. So one, you eliminate the homeless because a lot of them are doing it by choice anyways, and their drug addiction, and they keep feeding their drug addiction. That's why they stay homeless. So if you get that taken care of for through the mental asylum process, right, to fix their mental health of the ones that are mentally incapable of taking care of themselves, you take care of that, and at the same time, you could take care of getting the homeless off the streets, because it's not about building homes, all right? You are putting them in a place to really clean themselves up, and through treatment and programs and all that stuff to clean up their addiction. And to me, that's a win-win situation, right? Because you'll still have your prisons, you'll still have the Fed prison like Alcatraz. That's gonna we'll see if it opens. You have your state prisons, and if done the right way, stop being soft on crime and defunding police and all that, you can still house prisoners, right? You'll clean up crime, and you could clean up the streets of the mental health and drug addicted people, and literally you'll clean up the streets of homeless. So rather than divert money, or rather than have money to go to quote-unquote homeless, right, and these stupid programs, you divert that and direct that towards the prison / mental health facilities now that have been reestablished. All right, and boom, solves a lot of problems. Man, why can't I be governor? I gotta be governor. I'm just saying. Like, why can't I be governor? I mean, think about that, right? We get violent people and drug and crime, off the streets, homeless off the streets, drugs off the streets. We'd be able to clean up California for a change. Is that crazy? I mean, that's crazy, right? Can you wrap your head around that? Like, why not? I mean, it's a win-win situation for everybody. I don't get it. So, shit. I don't care if Alcatraz is put under state control. Or how about this? If it's under federal control but allows the state to run it, that'd be a destination place for corrections as well. I would assume people will want to work on the rock. I wouldn't personally, but the thing about that though, you got to take a ferry ride out there every day, and it'd be. I mean, maybe some people could tolerate that. I wouldn't. I don't have the patience for that. I'd be like, I have patience in general in life, but for the boat rides and all that stuff I got to wait for and traffic and all that, screw all that. Yeah, so I think it's a brilliant idea. I like the Alcatraz idea, and I like my idea to use closed prisons and to house mental health / drug addiction / homeless, because they all under the same label, virtually, right? Mental health, if they need, treatment. That's what this place is for, to close down prisons. Love it. Could love it. But I'm only one person. But hey, if you want me to run the state of California, I could run it and be that guy. But yeah, so that's where it's at here. Alright, so what else we got going on here? Very interesting. I like it. That he will order to reopen Alcatraz. I mean, there's no reason why he can't. It's under federal, under the federal government, anyways. So, that's what we should do, right? And it's all because of money. You look at the frivolous spending that the Democrats have spent over the years, and you can't open a federal prison. Come on now, all right? So, all I got to say is I think it's brilliant, and let's do it, All right, so enough of that. Let's see what else we got going on here. All right. I do like the idea, though. And let's see what else we got. Oh, yes, Dr. Aaron. Trump is the headline, You look at the news, Trump is the headline. Israel ready a massive response to Houthis in Iran after a missile attack. That was an hour ago. Wow, Houthi missile strikes near Israel's airport, causing panic. All right, so that's why all this Israel talk is on the news right now. I wasn't really paying attention, but I can see. U.S. won't get in the way of that. Hopefully it doesn't start anything nuclear, because, this is Iran. Houthis are in Iran. And also, there was mention here that, where did I see that at? Latest news on Israel's plan to expand offensive in Gaza. So they have plans to capture the entirety of Gaza. So, and Israel had enough of the games, and the Democrats that ran the White House and their stalemate that they kept playing we are Israel's allies, but at the same time, woe me gone, Crimea River, free Gaza, and protect Palestinians and all that, even though you have, Hamas running the country. And the only way to get rid of the terrorism of Hamas that attacked Israel in the first place, killed people, took hostages, and they're unapologetic about it, right? There's going to be casualties of war, especially when Israel's been doing it the right way, right? They've sent out people, flyers, gave warnings that, hey, we're going to come into Gaza and uproot Hamas, And if you don't get out of the way, I mean, there's a possibility you might get killed. You got to be careful. They even gave out warnings before they strike. And if that's not enough, and the far left are crying about, oh, free Gaza, the poor Palestinians. Well, fuck. I mean, you can't help it. They've done what they can to, like, help, but they're trying to root out terrorism here, and the far left is not helping any matters. Now, Israel just got attacked by the Houthis from Iran, right? It's not going to go well at all. It's not like this is Gaza, because Houthis are in Iran. Iran is two things, right? They supply the world's oil, and they also have their own nuclear capabilities as well. So this is a touchy area. We got to be careful. We got to see what happens here. But yeah, so we'll see what's going on. What is trending right now? Let's see. Actually, let me go hit home. Let's see what hit home. Trump to reopen Alcatraz. Yeah, I'm all for it. Look at this fat chick right here. See how she looks. Alright, whatever. The White House banned the mainstream media from the briefing. You know why? Because they spin things. Instead of just telling it like it is, they spin it. They play the spin games. Alright, so fuck all that. You keep spinning and not really telling the truth, then you don't need to be there. Trump administration proposes Department of Homeland Security to pay immigrants in U.S. illegally $1,000 to self-deport. Wow, interesting. That's an incentive to leave. A parting gift. That's pretty nice. Instead of like coming out with zero, you're actually giving a parting gift? Shit. What's up with that? I'm sure there would be quite a bit to sign up. Voluntarily be like, yep, here's a check, I'll see you later. I like that. Very interesting stuff. This is like AI right here. It looks almost unreal. It looks like AI. But yeah, so interesting stuff. I do like the parting gift though. I like Alcatraz, and I like party gift. Wow, I never knew David Muir's gay. He lives with his partner. Wow, I never knew he was gay. I always thought he was a straight guy. Kind of a pretty boy. Try to attract the females. With his little Rico Suave. I'm Mr. Serious all the time. But yeah, I never realized that he was gay. Yeah. Well, I'll say no more. So pretty funny. I think my next topic I want to talk about is a couple things that they're considering in California. Reappeal of Scott Peterson and those what are those other guys that they're considering releasing? The two brothers that killed their parents with a shotgun? Those guys. Menendez brothers, yeah. I want to talk about that in another video, as they are considering either rehearing, re-releasing, or not re-releasing, considering releasing this, because California's soft, and that's the problem here. But yeah, so comment down below. Let me know what you think. This is the VC. Alright, on Rumble or YouTube, however, alright, you please. And subscribe and follow. Thank you, and I'll see you next one.